Okay, here is the next set of notes on point slope form. Now, in the previous set of notes, we talked about the slope intercept form, in which it gave us the slope and the y-intercept. This one's slightly different. So, and let me zoom in here. The point slope. The point slope form of the equation is, let me change colors here, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, so that's the formula. You're not going to have to memorize it. You're going to get a formula sheet that has all these formulas. You just need to know what to do with it. So you have y minus y1 times m parentheses x minus x1. Now, the m still refers to the slope. It's always going to be the slope. But the y's and the x's are still y's and x's, but you got some new variables in there, a y1 and an x1. And this is a coordinate here, so you have x1 and y1. x1 and y1 just refer to a point that's given. That's why it's called the point slope formula, because it gives you a point and the slope. So this one's a little bit more versatile. You can use it to solve any equation and get it into the correct format. Whereas with slope-intercept, you're restricted to if you have the slope and if you have the intercept. This point slope form allows you to do it in any form. As long as you have 2 points, you can get it in point slope form and eventually into slope intercept. So let's look at a couple examples here. So you have a slope of 3 and then a point to 6. So writing our equation out of y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. The slope of 3 will go into the m. So the slope of 3 will go right into the m. This point here, 2 and 6, goes into the ones with the ones. If you can remember that, the ones with the ones. The slope, the coordinate goes into the ones with the ones. So the y will stay the same. But now I have minus, okay, minus my y, which is 6, equals the slope, which is 3, parentheses, x minus, and then your x value. Let's do that back again. Change this up. There you go. And now it just becomes an order of just algebra here and solving equations. So just like we've always learned, hey, we're going to distribute the value in there. Okay, and then you get, let's see here, change colors, y minus 6 equals 3x minus 6, and then just simply add the 6 over. So you get y equals 3x, well, negative 6 plus 6 is 0, so that's your equation right there. So pretty simple. Slope and intercept, just plug in the values and then solve for y. So go ahead and let's look at B, and I'm going to let you try this one on your own. Please pause the video now. Now, so as you can see here, I've written out the equation. The equation's right here. And then I substitute my values. Just like we've always talked about. The minus sign, if you look at the equation, actually, the equation's up here. When you look at the equation, you'll see that minus sign's there. That minus sign will always be there. It does not matter whether your y is positive or negative. This minus sign and this minus sign will always be there. So here you see it, it's there. And then my number, okay, is a negative 2. So you can probably figure out what you're going to do here and what you're going to do here. So let's do this. So this becomes a positive. And so now you're left with y plus 2 equals negative 1/2. And let's see, let's do this. X plus 4. Okay. Now we're going to move this up here so we have some room. Meanwhile, we're going to distribute that 1/2. So now I have y plus 2 equals negative 1/2. Negative 1/2 times x is just negative 1/2 x. Okay? When you're multiplying to a variable, it just stays like that. Negative 1/2 x, or times x, is negative 1/2 x. Now, when multiplying to the number, remember what happens when you multiply times fractions, when you multiply numbers times fractions. Multiply times the top, okay, multiply times the top, then divide by the bottom. Multiply times top, divide by the bottom. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. And then you're left to just move this positive 2 over. So I'm going to subtract 2 minus 2. That cancels. So y equals negative 1. That's a really big 1. I don't like it. Negative 1/2 x minus 4. And that is your answer. So now that's when it's given as slope and a point. You're not always going to be given the problem like this, where you're given the slope and you're given a point. Hey, that's pretty easy when it does that. Sometimes it's going to do it like this. So here, we'll zoom out a little bit so we can see it. Example 1 says write the equation of the line through points negative 1, 7, and 2, 1 in slope-intercept form. What are we missing? Okay, here's where you have a problem here, because you're just given 2 points. I'm like, okay, this is the point-slope formula. I'm supposed to be given a point and a slope. Well, I have 2 points, and I'm missing the slope. Okay, so here's where you got to just use your brain a little bit here and understand that we've already done this. We just tested on this. We know how to find the slope given 2 points. So I'm going to find the slope given the 2 points. So let's find the slope. We know that slope, and let me change the colors here. Slope is m, and that is the change in y over the change in x. So we subtract our y's. 7 minus 1 is 6, and subtract our x's. Negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. So, and then we reduce. 6 over negative 3 is negative 2. So now we have our slope, and now we have points. And the fact that we have 2 doesn't make it any more difficult. It just means now you get to choose a point. I take the slope and I just choose a point. So I recommend that you use your slope and then you choose a point that has the most positive values. Remember, we don't like negatives. Negatives make things complicated. So I'm going to choose this point and this slope. You can choose either one, doesn't matter, but you need this slope and a point. So I'm going to take this one because they're both positive, and I'm going to write the equation in point-slope form. So remember that the point-slope formula is y minus y1 equaling x, or m times x minus x1. So I'm going to now write this in there. So y minus my y, which is 1, and then equals, the slope is negative 2, parenthesis, x minus x1, which is 2. And that's my answer. Now, doing what we did above up here, okay, we now need to put it in the correct form, which is the slope-intercept form. So all it is basically just we need to solve for y. Okay, so let's solve for y. I'm going to rewrite this down here. Y minus 1 equals negative 2x minus 2. So we need to distribute. So I have y minus 1 equals negative 2x plus 4. That's distributing the negative 2 to both of them. And then finally, last step, I'm solving for y, so I'm going to add 1. Cancels. So I get y equals negative 2x plus 5. And so that's really as complicated as it gets. You know, where up here they gave you 2 points. You had to find the slope using those 2 points. Then write it in slope or point slope formula. And then solve for y to get it into the correct slope intercept form. So I'm going to let you go ahead and try this problem here, and then you can check your work when you're done. Please pause the video now. All right. So giving the 2 points again, I've used these 2 points and subtracted my y's and subtracted my x's to find slope. So, 6 minus 5 is 1, 4 minus 2 is 2, so my slope is 1/2. I then chose this first point to do in point slope, so now I have slope and a point, so I can use it in point slope. Okay, here is y minus my y, which is 5, equaling my slope, m times parenthesis x minus my x, which is 2. So, and again, this equation you're never going to have to memorize. You'll always be given it. So, and then finally from here, you need to solve for y to get it into the slope-intercept form. So I distribute the 1/2, and I did my work over here. So you have y minus 5 equals 1/2 times x is just 1/2 x. And then half of negative 2 is negative 1. So you get this, add the 5 over, and you're done. Here's your equation, put it over here. All right. Now, let's look at some special cases. So here's some situations that you may come across where things look a little bit different. Right away, you're given 2 points, and so your first instinct should be, okay, I have 2 points, I need to find the slope. So let's find the slope. Okay, y minus y is 0 over x minus x, 3 minus negative 5, or 3 minus minus 5 is 8. So you get a slope of 0. Now you have to think to yourself, okay, what lines have 0 slope? What lines will give you 0 slope? And if you're looking at a graph, like for example, here's a graph. Okay, ones that are 0 slope go straight across. Okay, now we talked about this in the previous set of notes. Lines that go straight across, sorry, wrong button. Lines that go straight across are called what? Do they cross the y-axis or do they cross the x-axis? Well, if you notice here, this is your y, this is your x. It only crosses the y-axis. So a line that has 0 slope is going to be horizontal, and it's going to be like this. It's only going to cross the y-axis, making it a y line. which means it's y equals, and then whatever your y equals up here. Which one? What does my y equal? They're the ones that are the same. Okay. Both are 5. So that's simply your equation. These are special case. This is what happens when you get 0 for a slope, or you're going to get undefined for a slope. Okay, they're going to be y lines or x lines. So 0 slope is a flat line. It only crosses the y-axis. Therefore, it is a y line. Now, if we look at over here and subtract our y's, so negative 3 minus 8 is negative 11 over, subtract our x's, 2 minus 2 is 0. Now here, you get the 0 on the bottom, therefore the slope is undefined, if I can fit it, undefined. You know what I mean. So undefined slopes, if you remember, okay, go vertical. And vertical lines will never ever cross the y-axis. They only cross the x-axis right here. This is the x-axis. It only crosses the x. Therefore, this is an x line, and whatever your x value is up here. They're both 2. Okay? So x equals 2. And those are special cases, so only if you get a slope of 0 or undefined, those are what your answers are going to look like. Okay, let's move on to the next page. Okay. This last part here now is writing the equation of a line in point slope form given a graph. So now you're not given the points. You're not given the slope. All you're given is a graph, and you have to figure out the points. The same thing we did when finding slope, you need to make points. You need to make dots. This line here does not have any dots on it, so we need to make dots. You put dots wherever the graph crosses, like right here, it crosses exactly there, and it looks like it crosses exactly here. So I'm gonna make some dots on this graph. Let's change colors. Make it easy to see right there, and it looks like it crosses right there. So what are these points? We need to write down what these points are. Well, this point that's down here, okay, this coordinate is -3, -2. Actually, let's start over. Okay, so you have this 2 points. From here, yeah, I forgot, you don't need to find slope. You don't need to find the slope because you can find the slope just by doing this. So I don't need the 2 points to find the slope. I can just do the slope using the graph. So again, how we do slope, okay, the line's going up. So I know that this is a positive slope and it's a fraction. How much is it going up? Let's see, 1, 2, 3. So it's going up 3. That's a terrible 3. And then over 1. So my slope is 3 over 1. Or just 3. Now the point you choose can be either one of these points. Remember, you want points that are positive. So let's take this point here. What is this point? That point, okay, is -2, 1. So -2, 1. So that's what we're going to use here, -2, 1. And now we're going to write this. We don't have to solve this one. But we're just gonna go into point slope form. So point slope, y minus my y, which is 1, equals m, which is my slope. You can just write 3. You don't need to put 3 over 1. Parenthesis x minus my x, which is -2. One last thing. Hopefully you all noticed it. You see here the 2 negatives. We're going to change that. 2 negatives make a positive. And that's it. At least for this. We always want our answer to be in slope intercept form, but for this case, we're going to leave it like that. So let's go ahead and try the other graph problem and check your answer. Go ahead and pause the video now. Okay, so here is your answer. I did the points right here, and did the slope between them. That went down 3 over 2. That's negative 3 over 2. And then I chose this point because both numbers are positive. 2 is both positive. So there's my point, and then put it in the formula. Y minus my y, which is 2, equals my slope times parenthesis x minus my x, which is this. So there it is. Okay, I'm going to leave you with this last piece here, a challenge to transfer and apply. I'm going to leave you with this to try this problem here. We'll go over it in class, but I want you to at least try it. Just try and see if you can do it. Don't just go, oh, I don't get it, and then give up. Hey, try and do it. There's, it's not going to be graded on it, and we'll go over it in class. But go ahead and try this challenge problem. All right. Thanks for paying attention. And if you have any questions, feel free to message me on Canvas or send me an email. All right.